Stephen Paul, Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, has been called the modern-day Leonardo da Vinci, the man who changed our everyday world of work, leisure and communication through his inventions. The personal computer, iPhone, iPad and the iPod. He is one of the greatest innovators in the digital age with 338 patents to his credit. Steve Jobs was born in San Francisco on February 24, 1955 to Abdul Fateh John Jandali and Joanne Shkibal Jandali, a Muslim family from Syria. Soon after his birth, Paul Reinhold Jobs and Clara Hagopian Jobs adopted him. Steve Jobs got his first exposure to electronics by helping his father fix cars. While in the 8th grade, he wanted to build a frequency counter for a school project but was unable to find the parts. He then directly called Bill Hewlett, founder of Hewlett-Packard, then the biggest electronics company in Palo Alto. Hewlett, impressed by the gutsy preteen, not only agreed to give him the parts but also offered him a summer job to assemble frequency counters. It's here that Jobs met Steve Wozniak, an electronics guru. Jobs and Wozniak were both extremely talented and soon became inseparable friends. Interestingly, their first venture was not a computer. They developed an electronics kit mimicking telephone radar codes to make free calls around the world. Jobs briefly attended Reed College in 1972 before dropping out to take up more interesting courses like calligraphy, which helped him years later while designing the Macintosh computer. He also gained interest in Eastern spirituality, especially Zen Buddhism and vegetarianism. Young Steve Jobs started working in Atari, one of the first video game companies in the world, in 1974. While he was working, he was keen about the idea of enlightenment and embarked on a spiritual journey to India to meet Neem Karoli Baba, Maharaj Ji, near Nainital in the foothills of the Himalayas. His ascetic experience during the 7 months in India included visiting the Kumbh Mela in Haridwar, shaving his head and wearing cotton robes. Steve Jobs was very impressed by Nolan Bushnell, a founder of Atari, and was inspired by David Packard and Bill Hewlett. He wanted to create a company like HP that would build innovative products that would outlive generations. At age 21, he got together with Wozniak and told him his idea of a personal home computer. And thus, in 1976, Steve Jobs started Apple Computers with friends Steve Wozniak, Ronald Wayne and Mike Makula in his parents' garage that has today become the world's most valuable company. In 1976, the Apple I was released. The Apple II was the first personal computer capable of color graphics. Jobs insisted that they designed both the software and hardware of Apple products. His passion for perfection and excellence shows up in Apple products' design, style, and simplicity of use. For example, Apple's first logo had a picture of Sir Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree. Next was the rainbow, striped apple with a bite taken out on the side. The colored stripes represented that Apple II could create graphics in color. In 1997, it was simplified to a single color that has changed over time. Considered as the greatest CEO ever, Steve Jobs took home a token salary of only $1 a year. He encouraged his co-workers by saying, "We are here to put a dent in the universe." In 1984, Apple introduced the first Macintosh. It changed the whole computer industry forever. However, Jobs resigned as chairman of Apple Computer on September 16, 1985, after losing a boardroom battle for control of the company with then CEO John Sculley. Jobs founded Next Incorporated in 1985 after his resignation with just $7 million. A year later, as he was running out of money, Jobs attracted the attention of billionaire Ross Perot, who invested heavily in the company. Almost 10 years later, in 1996, Apple announced that it would buy Next for a whopping $427 million, bringing Jobs back to the company he had co-founded. In 1986, he bought the computer graphics division of Lucasfilms and started Pixar Animation Studios, which created all-time hit movies like Toy Story, Bugs Life, Monsters Incorporated, Finding Nemo, Incredibles, thereby revolutionizing the animation industry. Disney acquired Pixar in 2006. Jobs first met his future wife, Laureen Powell, in 1989 when she was a student in the Stanford Graduate School of Business. They got married on March 18, 1991 in a Buddhist ceremony. The couple have a son, Reed Paul Jobs, and two other children. Jobs also has a daughter, Lisa Brennan Jobs, born 1978 from his earlier relationship with Bay Area painter Chrisanne Brennan. While Jobs was a perfectionist and charismatic personality, he has also been criticized for being very aggressive and demanding of his team. A stubbornly private person, he refused interviews and shielded his wife and children from public view. In 2001, Jobs introduced the first iPod. It changed not just the way we all listen to music, but the entire music industry. In October 2003, Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, but he was undaunted by his medical challenges. His advice to young students at Stanford University was, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." On August 24, 2011, Jobs announced his resignation as Apple's CEO. Jobs became chairman of the board and named Tim Cook as his successor as CEO. Steve Jobs died at the age of 56, following a lengthy battle with cancer on 6 October 2011, just one day after the launch of the new generation iPhone. Apple co-founder and CEO Steve Jobs, a visionary genius and a path-breaking entrepreneur who redefined user experience through his beautifully designed products, leaves behind an indelible legacy that will forever remain in the world's imagination. The aptly named Taj Mahal is not only the crown of India, but also one of the new 7 wonders of the world. It is spread over 42 acres on the southern bank of the river Yamuna, near Agra in Uttar Pradesh, India. This white marble mausoleum was built by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, grandson of the great Mughal Emperor Akbar, in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. The name Taj Mahal was derived from the name of Mumtaz Mahal and means crown palace. After his death, Shah Jahan too was buried next to his beloved queen. Described by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore as the teardrop on the cheek of time, it is regarded by many as the best example of Mughal architecture and a symbol of India's rich history. The Taj Mahal uniquely combines Indian, Persian, and Islamic influences. It is said that construction began in 1631, just after the death of Mumtaz Mahal during childbirth. It took 22 years to build and used a workforce of more than 20,000 laborers and artists from the Mughal Empire as well as Iran, Constantinople, modern-day Turkey, and even Europe. About 1,000 elephants were also used to move construction materials. The chief architect of the Taj Mahal is said to be Ustad Ahmad Lahori, who also designed the Red Fort, Lal Killa, in Delhi. According to one gruesome story, Shah Jahan had his soldiers cut off the hands of the construction workers after the structure was completed, ensuring they would never build another of its kind. It was said to be completed in 1653 after an expenditure of almost 32 crore rupees at the time. Blinded by grief and obsession, Shah Jahan almost emptied the royal treasury in the construction of the mausoleum, and huge portion of grains were redirected to Agra to feed the elephants and thousands of laborers, resulting in an artificial famine. The Taj Mahal is made entirely of white marble and decorated with precious metals and precious and semi-precious stones. The dome of the Taj is also known as an onion dome because of its shape and is about 115 feet tall. The 240-foot high Taj Mahal is surrounded on 4 sides by tall towers or minarets, and the monument is almost completely symmetrical except for Shah Jahan's tomb, which was added later. The 4 minarets lean a little outwards so that in event of a severe earthquake, the minarets will fall on the outer side, leaving the main structure unharmed. Also, if these had been built exactly vertical due to our optical perception, the towers would have seemed to be leaning inwards. The Taj Mahal complex consists of a large red sandstone gateway, lush gardens, reflecting pools, and mosques, all of which further add to its beauty. Observers have noted that the Taj looks different at different times of the day, looking pinkish in the mornings, white during the day, and golden under the moonlight. Also, with such brilliant optical illusion, this structure has been created that the first glimpse of the Taj Mahal, which is through the entry gate, positioned precisely such that as you move towards the structure, the monument seems to shrink, and as you move further away, it gets bigger. During World War II and other wars that India fought, fake structures and scaffoldings were constructed around the Taj Mahal to confuse the enemy bomber pilots for its protection. In 1983, the Taj Mahal was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Since then, the Taj has become one of the world's most visited monuments, with about 3 to 4 million visitors a year. Today, the Taj Mahal is facing wear and tear due to environmental concerns like air pollution and degradation of its foundation. Efforts are being made to protect this wonderful piece of architecture. Inspired by this breathtaking monument, a Taj replica luxury hotel and shopping complex is currently under construction in Dubai and is said to be about 4 times the size of the current Taj. The Taj Mahal is an immense mausoleum of white marble, immortalizes the love between the emperor and his wife, and is one of the most admired masterpieces the world has ever known. Kathak. The Indian classical dance form Kathak originates from the Sanskrit word katha, meaning story. Kathak originated from traveling storytellers called kathakars and over time evolved to become one of the 6 major classical dance forms of India. Performers of Kathak are essentially storytellers who narrate stories from epics, mythology, and legends through the medium of dance. However, later it was influenced by the Bhakti movement, and many of the dances then included tales from Krishna's childhood and youth. There are 2 main portions of Kathak performances. There is the pure dance pieces called Nritya, where a system of intricate footwork creates complex rhythm patterns. These rhythms are created by the sound of the flat foot slapping down on the floor and the sound of the ankle bells called ghungroos. The combination of fast footwork and the bells combined with swift body movements make up these pieces and are called tukras. The second portion is the mime portion called Nritya or Abhinay. In these pieces, words are not as important, but expressions, gestures, and softer gliding movements tell stories or episodes from epics and classical stories. Both of these portions are performed to music and beats. Some historians believe that the tradition of Kathak dates back to 500 BCE, where there is a reference to the Tandav by Lord Shiva, using movements which look like Kathak. In the ancient text Natya Shastra, written by sage Bharat, other references in history have shown up in the 2nd century BCE in panels found in Bharhut, Madhya Pradesh, as well as in the epics such as Mahabharata, where these Kathakars have been mentioned. The dance form really gained popularity in the courts of the kings of northern India. Its popularity continued to rise, and eventually in the courts of the Mughal Empire, Kathak was seen as a form of aristocratic entertainment and moved away from the spiritual aspects of the dance towards becoming a more abstract and entertaining form. Eventually, the spiritual and entertaining found a balance, and that is the dance we see today. The 3 main styles of Kathak were named after the cities in which they evolved, namely Jaipur, Banaras, and Lucknow. These styles later became schools which are known as gharanas. The Jaipur Gharana is significant in the technical aspects of dance, such as complex and powerful footwork, multiple spins and complicated compositions in different rhythms. The Banaras Gharana was developed by Janki Prasad and is characterized by the exclusive use of the Natwari or dance lyrics. Lucknow Gharana of Kathak actually developed in the courts of the Nawab of Awadh in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. It particularly gives importance to grace, elegance and natural expressions in the dancers. The Kathak schools had an oral tradition, that is, knowledge was passed verbally as opposed to writing it down. The dance was learnt and innovated from each generation through practice. This change was also reflected in the dress of Kathak dance. Kathak has many similarities with the South Indian classical dances, namely Kathakali and Bharatanatyam. For women performing Kathak, the costume has variations depending on the culture. The Hindu one has a sari-based costume as well as a long ankle-length skirt-based costume, while the Muslim one has a skirt-based costume worn over a churidar and sometimes a long full-sleeved coat. For men performing Kathak, typically a silk dhoti wrapped around the waist with a silk scarf and the upper body could be bare or a loose jacket can be worn. The number of musical instruments that accompany the Kathak performer can range from 2 to 12. The most common instruments are tabla to match the dancer's feet rhythms, sarangi or harmonium with manjira hand cymbals. The most famous names in Kathak are Janki Prasad, Birju Maharaj, Shambhu Maharaj and Lachu Maharaj. Today, Kathak is said to have influences from all three gharanas and also is one of the only dances that has a rich heritage with both Hindu and Muslim cultures in India.